Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Here I am once again. My name is Dharam Singh and I am with Daniel Zell. Today, very interesting personality. He has been working in the IT industry, or sorry, in the construction industry for a long time. And we'll talk about him and his learning, his lessons while he was in the construction work, and his learning as a PgMP, and what else he's doing. So with no further delay, I'd like to introduce Daniel. Daniel is based out of US, United States, Austin, Texas. So he's the AVP. He's working for AECOM. So probably he can talk more about AECOM, what exactly they do. So I'm very delighted to have Daniel. He actually passed his exam in December, actually December 8th, 2020. So he started only with, I think he started in a program, group mentoring program, and within 2-3 months after that, you completed your journey. Yeah, I think that's right. So yes, your commitment, your hard work, definitely you put the focus and you made it possible. And I think you made the exam look easier. So that's what he is. So Dan offers 20+ years in professional experience, primarily in the risk identification, studies in water resources, and resilience planning, including roads and bridges, and power station and pump stations and valves, pipelines. So he's coming with huge experience in construction industry. So I think we cannot find better person to have this topic today. And his experience includes mentoring and directly supervising lots of people. And he has hands-on construction. I'd like to know more about that because I'm coming up with building my house. Maybe he can help me with that. Maybe it's too small for him. I think he's talking mega billion work.
Sure.
Yeah, please say something, but Daniel.
Shukran jazilan, Dharam, and sabah khair to my Arabic-speaking friends on the phone. I appreciate this opportunity, and hopefully it'll be interesting and entertaining to everyone. I always say the only thing you need to know about civil engineering is pour it before it dries. So meaning you don't, if you let the cement dry in the truck, that's a bad thing. You always want to pour it out.
Yep, pour it as soon as possible, and before you take a shape, give a shape.
That's right. Yep. So I do like to start these at AECOM, and like most engineering companies, we start with a brief safety moment. And this is maybe a bit somber, but for those of you who work in the desert, where there's, as soon as you start digging, there's rock. Most of our trenches, we don't put shoring in those trenches because they're solid rock. They're not going to collapse. But that doesn't mean that there's no danger, because on one of my construction sites, on the weekend, on the Saturday when no one was supposed to be working, the contractor felt the pressure to perform, hired some day laborers, put them in the trench, and somehow, due to pumping some water on the surface, the small amount of soil that's on the surface went into the trench and buried, and we had some loss of life in that trench. So there's never no risk in a trench, even when you have solid rock on both sides. So something we probably all know, but when you're pushing your contractors very hard to meet a deadline, on the same hand, you need to also push safety just as hard. And as we know from folks who have worked in Saudi Arabia, that there's not as much of an appreciation for meeting that safety target as there is for meeting that completion target.
Yeah.
So hopefully it won't be too somber today. So I've got Neil deGrasse Tyson's quote on screen: knowing how to think empowers you far beyond those who know only what to think. And that's really what I think the Project Management Institute's project management professional and program management professional have helped me do. It's they give you the tools, they give you the vocabulary and the concepts to speak about something. It's not about memorization. In fact, I will relate that I failed this same exam in March because I just tried to memorize everything, and it's not a memorization exam, as Dharam will state. once you really dive into the concepts and really work that side of your brain, the exam's easy. If you try and memorize things, you're not going to pass.
Exactly. Yeah, very well said, Dan. I just want to recall my trip to Saudi Arabia last year. Actually, this is the day when I was flying back from Riyadh. That's the 9th or 10th of February last year. So that was my only one trip, international trip. And today was the day when I finished my last trip. So that was to Saudi Arabia. So what a coincidence.
Sorry, my son just walked in the room and I have to tell him that I'm on a presentation with 38 people, so you need to leave.
I'm leaving.
Oh, and he knocked over my camera. Thank you very much.
No worries. That's okay. That's everywhere. If you look, we are in COVID environment, people working from home, everybody understand the, these small issues around us, not issues, but I see that it's actually fortunate that while working, we are with our family as well. So
that's right.
That's okay. That's okay. We are in the same situation. No problem. So they're perfectly very well said. This exam is not just memorizing and reading the book and go to the exam. I have seen many cases where they said the main problem is a standard for program management is very thin book. It's around 150 page compared to very thick PEM book. So people who have done the PMP by themselves or by some assistance, they think that, you know what, I will read this book 5 times, 10 times, and do some mock exams. I will be fine. So it's not just reading and doing some mock exam. It is more than that, which you have experienced as part of going through my mentoring program. So once again, thank you for trusting my guidance. It was really interesting journey. And from the group you are in, I think we got almost all done except one person. He's still working, but that was a good group. From Rashmi from Toronto, and Ahmad from UAE, and you, and I think that was a really good group. So Rashmi did in 12 weeks, and you did it almost in, you completed in 10 weeks or 12 weeks.
It was very quick. It was only maybe a couple of weeks after we finished the course.
Yeah. So once again, thank you for trusting me for your PgMP journey. I'm very, very happy to see that you have achieved your objective in a shorter time. Thank you.
Sure, and I'll jump back in. So why are we here? I mean, what's the value of program management? And I think it allows you to see beyond individual projects. Whereas when you look at your individual project and the PMO or your organization, they might take resources away from your project. You might not get the skilled technical staff that you want, and that you see that in your narrow lane of your project is, why are they handicapping me at the beginning? But when you look at the program, they may have very legitimate reasons for doing that, and by looking at it through a program management lens, you can see that. You may have actually in my experience at Riyadh Water, they were always adding team members that we didn't feel were really performing, but they had strategic reasons for doing that. Or a contractor may be selected that performs poorly, and that still, I mean, it could be a bad decision, or it could be a good decision when you look at the organization's strategic goals. They may want to bring more organizations into the fold, meaning the water supply contractors. Hopefully they're not going to be offended by that. It's generally seen as the simplest engineering to bid for as contractors. So you would get generally, you wouldn't get the best. We wouldn't get the Bin Laden group, for example, to bid on a water supply project. They would be bidding for the skyscraper type projects. But so we really needed to increase the pool of bidders and increase their skill set. So the PMO would select contractors that really weren't good, with the hope that they would get better over time, and then in the future, as the city grew, they would have a larger pool of contractors to choose from. And then one thing that's, I think, really interesting about program management versus project is risk management. Generally at the project level, not always, but generally risks are perceived as a negative. But when you're looking at the program level, you can very often the risks are positive, and by positive risks, I know that's a little confusing to think about it that way, but think about how the organization, I'm just going to pick Riyadh Water, over time its strategic goals change. There could be a new leadership within the organization that has new initiatives, or there could be a change in the monarch of Saudi Arabia, and he wants to go in a different direction. And so by implementing those changes, rather than keeping your program fixed, you're able to stay in alignment with the changes that are going on in the organization and in the nation, thus increasing the value that your program is producing. What I found was with the contractors, they're really only they're very short-sighted because they have so many things on their mind that looking 1, 2, 3, that's really as far 1 or 2 or 3 weeks was as far as I could ever get a contractor to look ahead. Whereas when you have long lead items that need to be procured outside of the kingdom, like breaker boards, things that can't be fabricated in the country that need a lot of time, complex fittings that needed to be procured outside, it was very hard to get the contractor to focus on getting those long lead items ordered. And I think the way we were able to solve that was have a whole group of the PMO that was only focused on long lead items, so that when it came time for commissioning, we weren't waiting on one part that had to be fabricated in France, for example. So just getting back to a little more specifics, this was, I don't know if anyone was in Riyadh for the Riyadh water supply program. It was 2013, 2014, came online, I think, in 2015. It was because the large desalination plants along the coast, I think Ras Al Khair was the main one, they were behind schedule by a number of years, and Riyadh was growing faster, and so they needed a temporary water supply, and we simply drilled in the desert where there is water if you go deep enough. There's not a lot of it, and reverse osmosis cleaned that water so that they could meet their quantity targets. But I think the consequences of a fast track, when you're on a fast track program, the consequences can be, well, I mean, not now. I mean, years ago, the water only lasted a couple of years, but that's all it was supposed to. However, all that investment in construction had a very small rate of return because it really only fulfilled a need for a short amount of time. And I think on these fast track programs, the quality was really wasn't. The plants functioned. They had that fitness for use, but we did have quite a few quality challenges along the way, as you might imagine. And again, the safety. It's hard when you're in a fast track program when you've got a large lift, maybe with 2 cranes planned, and it's windy. Well, when you're in the desert, it's windy a lot. I mean, there's very few days when it's not windy, particularly in certain seasons. So, and I rarely saw an anemometer on a crane in the first place, but you knew the days when it was blowing hard. So getting that focus on safety is really a challenge that I was not able to solve.
Wow. Okay.
So the next slide is what is program management? So I'm not going to read the entire definition off screen, but you may have a program to increase the quantity of water delivered. That was one part of the program that I worked on. And the other was to improve program and project management by basically mirroring the Project Management Institute's practices and trying to bring them into Riyadh Water. And I think honestly, the people who embraced it the most were the engineers at the water supply utility who were the least, I don't want to say least educated. They were the ones who hadn't gone abroad for school or hadn't gone abroad very long. They had the worst English skills, and yet I think they were the most hungry for tools and techniques they could use to improve. They may have had maybe a more humble family or humble beginnings than the I don't want to say elite managers, but I'll say the elite managers. But they seem to embrace it more because they recognize that they needed tools to succeed. And I think you're going to have the most success if you're one of those people who's hungry. That's why I think why you're here, hungry for those tools and techniques. And if If it's something that's just forced upon you that you don't think that you need, you're not going to have much success implementing it or implementing it to an organization if the organization doesn't have an appetite to embrace it. Because in the short term, it is a lot of work. There's a lot of what could be seen as paperwork in terms of risk registers and issue logs and project management plans and program management plans, but they pay off over time, like many investments.
Yeah, perfect. So just tell me, Daniel, what they're calling as a program or project? Because I know in the construction industry, there's no concept of program or program management. What they're calling project or program?
I think they're at the construction level, a site specific is a project. But when we go back to our definition of programs,
yeah,
that a series of related projects, like for example, you're putting in water treatment plants or water supply plants all over Riyadh. Each one is an individual project, exactly. But the management of them collectively by the overarching organization is a program due to their interrelatedness. Now,
so by definition, by definition, they are as per PMI definition, they are program, but in on the ground, they are calling, the organizations are calling them a project, big project, mega project, complex project. Is that correct?
I think the individual, say a water supply plant would be a project, but building a series of different water supply plants all over Riyadh and the facilities to connect them to the water supply network is definitely a program.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify one thing, because many times people come to me, Dharam, I'm working on this project and I don't know if I can be eligible for PgMP. Then when they start talking to me about the project, and when they start explaining this multi-billion dollar work, so many projects involved, so many people involved, hang on, you're more than a program, actually. So don't just go with the title. It is more than title. It's, when you look at the definition of program, that will clarify that this is not just a project, it's actually a program, and you are a program manager by definition. So what they are calling you, your organization calling you, doesn't matter. You may be CIO, you may be project manager, you may be project coordinator, you may be any role, but what that PMI is calling that role, that's more important.
And I think more than that, the application for PgMP is just getting through that screening criteria. You really need someone like Dharam or who's already a PgMP. I do want to say that my initial application was rejected, even to take the exam, and I had a colleague help me who is a PgMP to really frame that application. And it's almost like you have to know the PgMP concepts from to even be considered to take the exam.
Yeah. I mean, anybody on this call or who's listening, if you have any doubts about your eligibility or how to put together all the things together, you feel free to book some time, and I will be sharing the link with you how to book a time, or that we can talk about. But sorry, continue.
No, I'm going to go back to, I skipped ahead a few slides.
Yeah.
So I think we talked about this. So what are the benefits of program management? Why would you're already managing your projects according to PMI's PMBOK, the project management body of knowledge. You have your PMP. Why program management? And I think I mentioned earlier, it really allows, in my mind, I think the biggest benefit is that continual focus on alignment with the organization. And by the organization, it could be Riyadh Water. It could be the country is changing direction. I think when I was working in Riyadh, they had the program known as Saudization, where they were trying to increase employment of native Saudi citizens in the organization, and being flexible to be able to adapt to those types of changes is what a program is. A project doesn't necessarily have that flexibility to do that. And then there's really just achieving that economies of scale. And that's maybe harder to conceptualize, but if you realize that the program is really going to prioritize the projects that generate the most value, or that have they may prioritize resources in such a way that maximizes program benefits. So we know, let's say you have a very aggressive project manager in your organization. No matter how important their project is, they're going to try and grab what are perceived as the best resources. They could be people, they could be equipment, etc. And that may not be to the benefit of the organization. If they were managing they might give it to the project that has the least, I'm going to say, aggressive project manager, because that's the most important project. Maybe it's the pipeline that connects I think we had a wastewater treatment plant that was completed for years, but the pipeline going to Riyadh was not completed, really had some technical challenges with it, tunneling, etc. But it doesn't do any good to have a wastewater treatment plant online if you don't have a pipe that connects it to the city. I mean, that's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
And I'll take some fault for that too. I'm not blaming Riyadh Water. And they also, if you are, I think Agile is really, Agile project management is gaining a lot of steam, although I haven't used it myself. But when you manage with a program management approach, it enables, by definition, a variety of project management approaches. You can have Agile, you could have other types other than just your traditional waterfall Gantt chart. That's my example of a waterfall Gantt chart with my hand.
Yeah. So Daniel, I do get lots of questions around Agile in construction. How, probably you're not used, but you probably have seen somewhere happening. Do you have an example where Agile can be used in the construction industry? How that can be used?
Honestly, I haven't used Agile.
Yeah.
In my experience, so I really can't answer that question.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, I don't want to put on the spot, but I thought, because I'm getting lots of questions, you just mentioned about Agile. So Agile is can be applied to construction, but it's not as same as we apply for the IT, when building website or application. It's going to be a different.
I mean, what I've done at the program, I'm managing a project here in the US, and I'm allowing Agile to go at the lower level. So I have my work breakdown structure to the level that I need to measure progress. Yeah. But I don't have it broken down to the smallest element. So I don't have it. I have larger tasks, which actually makes it easier for me to manage, because I don't have thousands of entries in the Gantt chart. And then the lower level contractors are using some Agile management techniques, but at the same time, I have the confidence I'm still seeing % complete on a larger task.
Yeah. No, just for the benefit of people, Agile can be used, but it's not going to be exactly the same as the IT work. You can use the daily Scrum kind of thing, daily meetings, what could achieve today, impediments, and some kind of board where you can see how the work is moving. So some flavor you can still use in the construction of Agile, but not everything. And as you can, or you may be using for building a IT or an application, that's a different altogether. But yes, to make sure people in the construction can also think that, yeah, you know what, we can also tailor some of the Agile concept into my day-to-day work. So we can actually, I may present something in future that somebody who has worked in the construction with the Agile concept applied. So
that sounds great. I'd love to listen in on it.
Yeah, let's see if I can find somebody who, and if somebody on the call at the moment who's actually in the construction using some Agile concept, I'd love to know more about that. Please mention your name and I will contact you. Yeah, please go ahead.
So this is I'm kind of repeating myself again, but I think that's really just because we all sit through a lot of meetings, and how much do we actually remember from them? So I try and just repeat the same concepts over and over. But it's a group of related projects and activities managed in a coordinated manner to obtain benefits not available from managing individually. And that's really the key, I think, to program management is that you get those greater benefits to the organization.
Yeah.
So a project, the lifespan of a project, comparing the project versus the program, and Dharam, feel free to jump in here, but it's usually seen as a much shorter time horizon. A program can last much longer. Programs are related projects, but they're not the same. There's that, you can have a large project, but if there's, in construction, if you've got physically distinct construction sites and they're not identical, say if you're building apartment complex or something, you might have very identical structures going in next to each other, the same one over and over again. That I would call that a project. But when with water supply, they're always going to be different size pumps, different depth that you're drilling. Some may be very small wells, some may be large well fields. So they're not the same. There's not a project if they're all across the city. It's a program. And the uncertainty of project outputs. The project, you're usually defined, here is what your output is. Whereas the program, those outputs can change over time.
So uncertainty can be because of the benefit. Sometimes we talk in terms of benefits, and the benefit may be clear, may not be clear at the start of the program. And benefit may be clear, but how to achieve those benefits may not be clear. So that's why program has more uncertainty, as you correctly mentioned.
That's true. And we talked about change management. And the change really at the program level is primarily to ensure alignment with strategic objectives or escalated risks from individual projects that have gone above the risk threshold at the individual project level to control, that need to come up to that program level.
Yeah. Just for reminder for people, you have option to ask questions. Then when you feel like, please put your question. I will be reading them as if I feel it's the right time to talk, or maybe we'll take them at the end. And also another reminder that I will be giving you a code, PGU code, for one PGU, almost around half when we are about to complete the program. So please stay around, and yeah, you will get the code.
And I do want to mention,
yeah,
this is not, I'm doing this completely voluntarily. I'm not receiving any compensation from Dharam. Am I? Am I getting any compensation? No compensation.
No.
But I felt like reading for the PMP, I took a week off of work. I studied for 32 hours straight. I did a lot of sample tests, and I passed the PMP with really no knowledge of it beforehand. But this PgMP is a very different animal, as I mentioned before. I took a 40-hour, and when I took it in March, I watched a series of videos. I thought I understood the concepts. I took a bunch of practice tests. I thought I was doing okay, but I don't think I ever really understood the concepts. And I think what I recommend for you is what Dharam's course does is it's very interactive. You have to really engage that part of your brain that's not the memorization part of your brain. That's not as many of you are engineers, when you see someone else solve a problem, it's very easy. When you have to solve it yourself, it's very hard. And I think that part of your brain where you actually do the problems is what you need to engage for the PgMP. It's not necessarily, if I'd done it, I mean, obviously the first time it would have been much easier for me because you spend a lot of time memorizing instead of learning the concepts.
Exactly. I mean, that's a big difference. And the fact that you sharing that you actually failed first time and you passed the second attempt, it's a great thing, because I know when you talk to a person who passed very easily in the first attempt, you will not learn too much from that person. But a person who has attempted second time, first time he tried his best but didn't pass, so you learn from the person why he failed in the first attempt. What was his lesson learned from that? So lesson learned are more important for a person who has not completed the journey in the first attempt, but what he did in the second part is more important. So that's where the real lesson learned comes. So thank you, Daniel, for sharing actually that you have to take the exam 2 times, and it's not everybody share. I've seen people coming on programs, they just pretend that everything was so hunky-dory and everything. I just sit in that Dharam program and everything happened. But you did share that you have tried, what you did at the time, during March, what you learned, how to do prepare for the exam with me in the journey. So that's more important.
Yes. And I think having a variety of methods for learning is important. Obviously, I think I filed your book away, but he has a lot of graphics in his book that I think are, depending on how you learn. Some people learn just by reading text, but the diagrams are helpful. and his iPhone app, which I think is free, the PgMP for you. It's very convenient. Just if you're stuck somewhere, like we all are, you can always be there's something you can always be learning, some concept, practice questions, what have you, just from your phone. So you don't have to carry a stack of. Actually, I don't think flashcards are very helpful, even though I made maybe 800 flashcards. I don't think they're that helpful. I think just the practice again and again, using that part of your brain that's the thinking part of your brain rather than the memorizing part.
Yeah, and just to remind, like app is the PgMP for you app is free, most of the content, but if the premium version is given to my students, that's why you see everything for free, and people can buy the, if they want to get more of that, then they can pay for that extra. But yes, generally most of the things are free, but some content which is especially meant for students or premium users.
And I would caution you to, I also used a test bank online that was not if you start looking at a test bank and you see lots of grammatical errors in it, that's probably a sign that the questions aren't very good anyway. So there's a lot of questions out there that might mislead you, and just be careful in that. It's different than the PMP. If you look on Amazon for books, because there's only 3,000 PgMPs out there, so the marketplace is very small, and you're not gonna weed out the lower quality vendors, because there's just not enough reviews, not enough people actually taking it.
Yeah, actually that's a very good point. There are lots of material available online, free, lots of free. Some of them to trap you, come and take 120 question and then you buy more. Some of them just converted PMP question to PgMP. I know there are a couple of people came to me, Dharam, I've done my study by myself, and I've done my mock exam from these questions, these things, and I'm not interested in your program at the moment. Your program is costly, whatever it is. I will do my best. And they came back after 2 days. Dharam, actually, I underestimated the complexity of these questions. The question available online, and nowhere the complexity of what PgMP actually put you in through. So don't underestimate the complexity of this exam. While it seems easy, it's not just another PMP exam, it's beyond that. So that's what the message here. So please don't underestimate the complexity of this.
I'll go back to my presentation. There's not too many slides. So we're just talking about the difference between a program and a portfolio, because you probably hear those words tossed around. And the key difference is the portfolio, they don't need to be related. So you could have a road project and a hospital and a pipeline all be part of a portfolio, but they wouldn't meet the definition of a program unless they had some sort of interrelatedness. Maybe they're all in what do they call those new cities that they're building in Saudi Arabia? I can't remember, but industrial city, where all industrial city needs the hospital, they need the road, they need the pipeline, and they're all in the same city. They're all meant to serve the same purpose. And if you build the hospital last, and then the city can't really open until you have that hospital built. So the timing's all important on those, and you might prioritize resources so that you have a minimum facilities available online from the beginning.
Yeah. And
so what's the difference between a program?
Yeah, just to remind, just last month only, I did a webinar with Mohanad from Saudi Arabia, and we presented Vision 2030. So if you have not seen that webinar, or you have not seen the recording, please go to my channel. You'll find that recording. It was really very involving, and a lot of information about 2030. And you can, if you are in Saudi Arabia or not even Saudi Arabia, like to know more how Saudi itself as a country is moving towards the particular direction. Whole country is moving that direction. So the work Daniel has done, or people like Daniel doing in Saudi, they have to align themselves with the not just the organization vision, but to the country vision, and that is very, very important case study.
I think that is key. Recognizing that change is inevitable and that preparing for that change and being able to implement that change is the role of the program manager. I think, every time you move up a step in your organization, you always think that job before was easy, but it wasn't. When you were doing that job, when you were just a regular engineer, you didn't think it was easy doing that job. When you were maybe an assistant or deputy project manager, it didn't seem easy. And similarly, being a project manager is not easy. You have lots of responsibilities, really focusing on that end goal that's very well defined and trying to reach that end goal while preserving the quality, cost, schedule, safety, sustainability, all those other goals that you have for your project. And the program manager is that larger that larger vision of resources, capacity, interdependencies, and as we mentioned, that kind of moving target of change in the organization and in the business value. And similarly, that portfolio manager is also looking at that a large life cycle, much larger life cycle than the project.
And the portfolio management is more towards achieving the objective for the organization. So portfolio management is like a bridge between organization strategy, organization vision, organization of direction versus getting the work done. So there's a fundamental difference between project program and portfolio. Project and program delivering something, benefits or something, but program manager, portfolio manager is the one who's aligning or getting the work and making sure that what right work is picked up, right work is done by right people, and so that organization can achieve the strategic objective, organization can achieve the vision they have. So that's a very, very important role. Portfolio management is, you cannot underestimate the role of or purpose of the portfolio management.
So we talked again, the value of program management. Sorry, I put to compass, but that shouldn't be there. Just the value of program management. It's a framework for thinking more broadly. You have vocabulary that you can use, you have concepts that you can state that others who have a similar framework understand those concepts. And I think it gives me more confidence to talk about certain concepts that I didn't have the vocabulary or the understanding of to talk about before. It's easier to manage conflict because you have these you have a lens to look at the conflict with, rather than who's right or who's wrong. It's more of what are the business objectives and how do we meet those business objectives. And there's more visibility of risk in terms of escalated risks from the project level, but also those organizational risks that you're able to track. You can choose the best activities to invest in as a program manager. You might want to train some of your staff. You might want to bring in more people or things like that. You might need new facilities to achieve the goal, and you'd be able to show your organization the value for that. And resource management as well. I think resource management is key because it gives you a lens for which to distribute your resources. Everybody has well, I always say everybody's good at something. The key for you as a manager is figuring out what they're good at and being able to put them on to that thing that they're good at. And you'll need to balance that out amongst your subsidiary projects. So the next steps is think about maximizing your program benefits and thinking about certification in program management. So I think we talked about that. The difference between the PMP and the PgMP is that when you say you have a PgMP, people don't know what it is. They think you said PMP, but there's only about 3,000 in the world versus about 1 million PMPs, and at the rate of growth, there's always going to be a lot more PMPs than PgMPs. The experience requirements are much higher, and the applications are, I believe, they're almost all audited for PgMP.
No, it's audit-wise, it's a random pick. Audit is same for PgMP, PMP, and PfMP, okay. Randomly picked, so not mandated. But yes, panel review, where we have 5 questions to explain the experience of program manager. These will be reviewed by PMI representative, and that is mandatory stuff. That's the mandatory stuff.
That's it. That's my last slide.
Yeah. So just to re-emphasize on mention of the certification. So don't take the certification for the sake of certification just because everybody else is doing, you need to see what value this certificate going to bring to you in your career and in your maybe next job or maybe promotion. But more important is the learning you're going to get from these certificates. And my programs are geared to build the knowledge and have some practical use of these concepts. So some of the program, which is multi-weeks program, that gives you opportunity to learn and apply that knowledge in your day-to-day program management or even portfolio management if you're doing PfMP program. So my focus is, yes, of course, my focus is to give you all the tips and hints to pass exam. What's more important is how can you use this learning from PMI, all the books we have from PMI, into your day-to-day program management, and you exceed your own expectation, and an organization have trust in you and your ability to deliver your programs. That's what it is all about. So yeah, so that's good thinking and thought, Daniel. So one more thing I like to highlight here. Yeah, so don't just assume that because now I have a PgMP or PfMP or PMP, jobs will come to me. No, jobs will come. You need to create your own environment. You need to demonstrate as a salesperson. Now I have PgMP, and now this is the reason you should be hiring me. If you don't do that, you just expect that LinkedIn somebody will come and pick me up. It can also happen. I've seen a headhunting, but don't just assume that it will happen like that. Yeah,
I would agree. I mean, I think with so many things that you get, that's really an investment in yourself in the long term. The only program management job I've seen that looks for a PgMP is they're building a Tesla gigafactory in Austin, Texas, where I live. But I don't think that's, although you would get a discount on a Tesla, it's not really the job for me.
Okay, so I do have a question, and I will definitely share the video code, but I got a very good question here. It is a comment, not question. In a program, you can still have a water project, road project, building project, and other project as long as they have interdependency to achieve common benefits. This is very well said. So this is clear, and this is to clear the confusion, or what is this? This is to clear the confusion or example given by Daniel. Okay.
I think it's the interrelatedness. I mean, think about it logically. If you're building something, if you're building a large, we'll call it a large project. If there's interrelatedness among the components, then it's considered a program. If you're building a pipeline here and a pipeline there and a water treatment plant there, but they may all serve different needs and they don't have any interrelatedness. That's the key, is that term interrelatedness. That means that they almost all have to function in order to get the benefit. If they all function independently, then there's not that interrelatedness that lets them be a program.
And interdependency is more like if one project in the program is delayed or failed or have a change request or issue, then it will impact the other corresponding projects. So that is more like interdependency. So yes, if you have road project, you have other projects going on in the city. If hospital, one example you gave about the hospital, if hospital is made separately, it has no interdependence with road. So that's not a program. You can put this as a portfolio because there's no interdependence. While there's a lot of work happening within the city, these are different projects and programs happening, but there is no interdependence. Yes, without hospital, you cannot open the city. Then it's a dependency on the whole city. So let me share the PG code. some people like to want to know now. And if you have more questions, we will continue to talk about. One thing I've done, I've shared that video code on your screen on the chat, but I will also read it out for you so that people who are listening can also have this video code. So course identifier you will use is PME XP dash DZ dash 01. So I will read it again. PMEXP dash DZ, that's for Daniel Zell, and dash 01. And the video code is 3998 AY and Finale Q90. Let me read it again. 3998 AYN Q9 and then O. Sorry if I missed that. 3998 AYN Q90. So if you put this code on your claiming the PDU, you will get one PDU and you can apply that PDU for PgMP, PfMP, or other certificate from PMI. So that's for the PDU. And if you have any question clarification on PDU, please feel free to contact me. And if you have any question clarification around about how to get achieve your goal or your dream of PgMP, PfMP, or PMP, now you can also contact us for your Scaled Agile, because we are now bronze partner for Scaled Academy, and we can provide almost all safe trainings. And also we have a Discipline Agile. It's also a new entry for us. And DASM, soon we'll have DASM and few other certificates. So we have several certificates, and all certificates depends on your, what exactly you want to achieve from that. It's not, as I said, it's not another certificate. You need to see the value, what value is going to bring to you and to your organization, and that's what you should be doing. Not just because everybody else doing PMP, let me do PMP. Everybody is doing Scrum Master, let me do Scrum Master. Whether it's going to add any value to you or not, that's more important. All right, let me go back to see if we have more questions. Okay, I think somebody did mention about yes, we have program management in Saudi Arabia. So that's where, when we're talking about project versus program, so I think this person is from Saudi Arabia. He's talking about, yes, we are not saying programs are not there. Program management is there, but most commonly called as a project, and even the construction of big or large programs. So yes, it's program management is there, and even portfolio management is there. It's becoming more and more known in the Saudi Arabia, especially Saudi Arabia. So to many people are surprised to know that Saudi is the #2 in PfMP. So it's more than 100 PfMPs out of 1,000 PfMPs. It's 10% of PfMPs coming from Saudi only. And Saudi has around 4th or 5th position, is the 5th position on PgMP scale. And that's not about ranking in a country, but what I'm trying to say, there's a lot of awareness about these certificates in Middle East. People coming from construction, people coming from mining, some people coming from oil, various sectors, IT. So don't just think that these certificates only for IT organization. So these certificates are applicable or can be applicable to almost any industry. You need to see how can I apply this learning from standard from program management into my program, whatever program I'm doing. Daniel, do you have any other points to share?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, there's been project management before PMI. There's been portfolio management and program management before PMI. PMI did not create these concepts. They've created or attempted to create standards and common vocabulary and common definitions that we can all use. But certainly, even when I was in Saudi, and it was, I said, 2012 to 2014, there was certainly program management, PMOs, portfolio management, all those things were going on. And I don't know if anyone was certified as a program manager then.
Yeah, so the momentum has started recently, for last 4 or 5 years, when even the last year of PfMP, the up to last previous year, up to 2019 versus 2020, end of 2020, it just doubled the number of PfMPs. So this shows that the interest is huge. The organization are showing interest, even the country is showing interest in these certificates. So we are now trading partner for PMI KSA, Saudi Arabia chapter, and the reason they have involved as a training partner because we are bringing program management, portfolio management, and other certificates together. So if somebody is in Saudi and want to do the programs with us, you can have some discount. So you have to talk to me. And Dharam, I heard about this from the PMI KSA or from your webinar. I will offer you the discount, applicable discount. So I think that's up to 20% discount. It's a very, very handy discount, especially my programs. And 20% can be huge amount. I know it's a big amount itself, but you have to be member of PMI KSA. And you come to me, Dharam, I am a PMI KSA. I heard about this in webinar or from Manad or his webinar, and please share the code with me. I'm interested in the program. So I love to see that happening. So, so please come to me. So I do have other questions here. Let me read it out. Hi, PgMP app asks payment through PayPal, which does not work in my country. Any other option available? Okay. I think they probably have other options as well. I'm not very sure. I don't think they're only asking PayPal. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the old or previously they were accepting the credit card. Imran, if you wanted to contact me, we can collectively explore it. But maybe you want to chat with the PMI on the PMI.org. You can chat or call them to find out other options. Maybe they can also accept the check or the bank transfer. But yes, I'm not very sure whether they are only restricting for PayPal payment only, but I think they have other options as well. So Imran, please reach out to them or call me, or we have further discussion on that. Thank you. Daniel, also there are many government project manager jobs are requiring PgMP, as it can found in GovJob website. So probably you have seen, Daniel, about some jobs in government, especially with even the project manager or program management, they are asking for PgMP. I will share my experience on that.
I've always been a private sector person, so at least in the US, I haven't really looked at government jobs. I know I think in Saudi Arabia, it's something to be, if you work for the government, it's seen as very prestigious because you're changing your country. And we found a lot of extremely well qualified and successful people in the government there. But I really haven't looked at government jobs in the US.
I can actually put a light on this. I have been doing this little research since October 2019. That's when I came to US after living in Australia for 22 years. So at the time when I did my research on LinkedIn, I was able to see around 600 plus jobs with PgMP. That was in 2019. Then I further did again in 2020 a few times. So I've seen up 650, 680, 700. Yeah, I have seen up to 850 jobs in 2020. And I did one other search when I was talking to one of my potential, somebody called me, I was talking about the jobs in the US. I saw 954 jobs having a keyword as PgMP. And this is a huge, given that we have around 1,300 PgMP in US, and let's say active PgMP around 1,000 PgMPs, and the people who are actively looking for job probably 100 or 200. So in that kind of ratio, it's a very big advantage for people who go with these jobs, apply for this, and going into interview with PgMP or PfMP will make a huge difference to your success. So having good certificates and having the certificate and your experience collectively will give you more advantage, give you more power to negotiate, and the job getting the job become almost certain for most people in this case. So 954, and actually yesterday I saw it's gone down to 900. So this number of jobs keep changing, but the important thing I'm seeing is the rate of jobs asking for PgMP in US, and I've seen in Canada as well, and few other countries, is growing very, very fast. And I remember one student, one person came to me, Dharam, I've gone through the job and all the way up to the the final interview. Then CEO asked me one simple question: do you have PgMP? At the time, he didn't have PgMP. He said, you get the job, you go do a PgMP, and you have the job, and I will give you more salary than what we are offering at the moment. So that was his motivation to do PgMP. So the jobs are asking in US, many jobs are asking for PgMP, which is very encouraging. Now I'm very, very excited to see that this is happening. So good. I think I have a question especially for you, Daniel. And
okay.
Question for Daniel. It seems in your role at AECOM, you have practiced program management without having the certificate. What is the real value of having PgMP? As engineer, we think about interrelatedness, about our projects and about other projects. It is in our rational thinking. Sorry. So did you got the question?
Yeah, and I think that's really a valid question. I think for all the PMI certifications, they expect you to practice for some period of time before you earn the credential. And I think it takes you to that next level. I think it's a valid point. You can be a project manager without having a PMP. You can be a good project manager without having a PMP. Similarly, you can be a program manager without the certification. And there may be some people out there who don't need it at all. For me, I think, as I mentioned, the vocabulary, a common vocabulary that you can use to talk to other people who they may be a certified program manager, they may not, but they may understand that vocabulary and those concepts that you can talk about without having to, as we all, it's especially when it's something that's controversial, no one's really willing to learn on the fly about a concept. But if you explain something to someone in the terms of a concept that they already understand and buy into, for example, the alignment with strategic objectives. This is why we're doing this, is because the alignment with objectives. That's kind of a hard argument to go against. That's the purpose of our program, is to achieve this. So, but I think it's a valid question. I think it really depends on where you're trying to go with your career and what you think you need. I think for me, why I have like some people, I guess I have a lot of certifications. I have my professional engineering certification in the US, a certified floodplain manager, a diplomat of water resource engineering, my PMP and my PgMP. I really don't do it just to have a lot of initials. I think it's really for myself, to give me some more confidence and to make me feel relevant as I age. The knowledge that I learned in school is less. Well, I don't remember much of it, and it's less relevant because the technology in the industry has advanced so far since I was in school. So for me, getting these certifications just helps me show that I'm still relevant in this business world of today. That's much different than when I started working.
Yeah, and I like the way PMI is doing this certificate. Instead of you take the certificate and do the job, they're saying, okay, have you done the job, and whatever learning you have, and now you look at standard, refine your learning. You know how to be a program management, and now you will be a better program manager after you learn the standard. So that's where the PMI is adding more value. So good point. I will take a few more questions here, and great presentation. Thank you all this. So can you please message the PGU code? So the PGU code is already shared on the chat. If you have not seen, please see the chat. And if you want, I can read it out again. I will do it before we finish. And somebody's asking, I have attended past 2 webinars, but have not received the PGU. So look, PDUs are not given for all the programs. Some programs are like this one where we are building the knowledge. Definitely, we are adding PDU because PMI is not going to approve all the PDU for us. If it is, we are talking about some certificates or scale agile. So that may not attract, PMI may not approve all the PDUs. So whenever we have a program which is relevant, which can add value, where we are sharing some project management program learning, definitely give you PDU and try to get as many PDU as we can. So please continue to watch our future videos. So you will webinar, you will get more and more PDUs. Okay, so we have how is program management, portfolio management applied in the product development world using agile methodology. So, and do you have any view on this, Daniel?
I have to take a disclaimer on the Agile because I really haven't used Agile. I mean, all I know about Agile is it gets done when it gets done. That's what people say. Maybe that's a joke, but.
So actually, let me talk about, product development is what? You're building a new product. And there are many moving parts, and, Agile is what you're getting the things done faster, better, But in a program management world, we're talking multiple projects coordinated in such a way you get the result, best result. So you may have 3, 4, 5 Scrum teams working together. These are the projects or components within the program, and you coordinate in such a way you get the final result. You keep your stakeholder informed, and you deliver the benefit, expected benefit, and ensuring we have governance. If we don't have governance, required governance, the multiple teams, you may not be able to manage them properly. So that's what you're going to use, learn from your project management, program management courses, and even portfolio management courses. How you can manage this Scrum team, multiple Scrum team, which can deliver the maximum result, or best result for the organization. I hope I have answered this question. Okay, in my view, PMI continue to discuss with the corporate world to provide PgMP recognition through the value proposition it brings to the organization. Definitely. So this is very important role for PMI. I think PMI is doing something on that to have some representative corporate, government, and many government organizations and corporates are recognizing this certificate. And it is also not just PMI's role, it is our role as well. I have been promoting PgMP since 2010-11 when I got my PgMP, and something you have to take this role as a aspiring PgMP, already PgMP or future PgMP. How can I promote this certificate in my organization? Okay, it's not about saying that because everybody else doing. The value this can generate and can give you to your organization is more important. To show them that after doing my PgMP, I am more productive, or I can get more value for the organization. And similarly, if we have 10, 15, 20 program managers, what collectively we can learn from the standard and the program management standard, how we can be better organization. And just to tell you, I have the Microsoft is a big organization. They are considering getting multiple people PgMP and PfMP. And a few more companies, they are trying to put a team together to go through the training programs. So the companies are recognizing, organizations are recognizing, government organizations are recognizing the importance of this certificate. Rest assured, PMI is doing their role. I'm playing my role, and I'm sure you will also play your role. So I think that's it for us, Daniel. We have lots of questions. It was really awesome to learn from your perspective. It was good to know your construction experience and how you can apply, or how you will apply, or other people can apply the PgMP and PfMP certificates, and the learning from them, and get the best value for the organization. So I cannot appreciate you more. It was really awesome time with you while working with you on the journey of PgMP, and this today 1 hour, more than 1 hour. Not just people see the 1 hour time when you talk, but the preparation goes into this for weeks after week to come up to this presentation. It takes a lot of effort, personal time and effort. So thank you, Daniel, for contributing. I'm sure people are going to use this knowledge and will keep building the knowledge as we go further.
And shukran jazilan to my Arabic speaking friends. I really enjoyed it. I miss my time in the Middle East. The tamar, the dates in America are awful. I don't eat them anymore, but I loved eating the dates, and only odd numbers of dates, of course. And the meat also is not as good here. But I certainly enjoyed my time there.
Actually, to be very frank, when I was last year in this time, in February, I found my visit to Saudi was the best. Not to because when I reached the airport, there were two people waiting for me to take in the car and to drop me. And every morning, every evening to the training center, I have somebody. I was not going. I've not taken taxi in Saudi when I was there. So somebody was there. Somebody was ready to take me to dinner or something. So that was the best time I had. So I cannot find any better hospitality than what I had last year in Saudi. So friends in Saudi, and if you are one of them who actually helped me, thank you for the hospitality you have offered me. So I think we are almost done. I see one more question before I leave. It's very important with the COVID-19. COVID-19 plays a huge role in the people reskilling because of job loss and additional time everyone got. So actually, that's a very important point. We know job loss is in some organization or some industry is kind of almost certain. But what is important for you is while this all happening, how can I reskill myself? How can be more relevant in this time to not only survive and thrive? I will encourage anyone who is in situation looking for job. So by the way, if you have lost your job or if you're in a situation which is impacting you financially or personally, please contact me. I will able to offer you some discounts or some programs or payment plan, and I will make sure I'm not here for money. More important, what value can you get from this learning? Once you get your job or something, we can talk about how you're going to repay me. I do take risk on that, but more important thing is, can I be value to you at the moment so that you can be value to your organization? So with this message, I'd like to conclude. And once again, thank you to all the people who joined today. Thank you for Daniel for taking your time out to contribute to the learning of lots of people. And thank you for my team who's working tirelessly, always there for me and for the webinars. So without them, nothing can be possible. So all of you need a big applause, and whoever joined the program, thank you. And who are watching this webinar, please continue to put your comments and share these videos. And I'd like to know more and more about what can add more value. All right, Imran, I have a question. You have a question, but I will answer you later. Okay. All right, guys. So thank you very much, and see you next time very soon. I think 20th or in a couple of weeks, I have an interview coming up with two people from Melbourne, Telstra. So it will be very interesting. So please keep an eye on the registration link. So once again, thank you and good luck, everyone. Thank you. Bye, Daniel.
Bye.